Good afternoon. It is November 6th. It is currently 5:33 in the afternoon. It is time to get to work. It is a Wednesday night here in Sacramento, and the Kings are playing. So I am going to be heading down that way. And on the way, I'm going to turn on the apps, and hopefully we get a ride. That's going to be my preferred choice, is to get a ride going that way. And, we'll see how that works out. I'm going to run both apps tonight. Everything is kind of like a normal, night here in Sacramento as far as parameters go. $1.20 minimum, 4-mile pickup, 14-mile max ride, all that good stuff. Same kind of pickup drop-off zone as I've had in the past. So all that stuff is kind of the normal. Today is the last day for Uber before the flip back over to the EV, but that's okay because I'm going to run both apps tonight, and we're just going to see how this goes and try to maximize time and money. And today is going to be the first day of a series of videos kind of kicking off. I've talked about this before, about just talking about what I think it takes to be successful at this. This is just my opinion. This is stuff that's worked for me. And as I said, I am predominantly profitable every month, working part-time at this. And when I mean profitable, I mean I'm covering my expenses and more. I have a profit that I'm taking home, that I'm keeping every month. And I've gone over numbers and stuff like that. And at the end of the year, or after the end of the year, I'm going to do a year in review kind of a thing, so you can see everything that's happened over this last year, or this year. So you can see that what I do, how I do this, makes money. And that's why we're here. So 5 things we're going to talk about tonight, and as we get to the freeway here, I will turn this back on and we'll talk about number 5, and we'll go down in order. They're not in any particular order, but just kind of the way it's set up. So we're going to do that as we get started. So let's turn this on.
Turn on Uber. Lyft online.
Turn that on. We'll go back. All right.
Uber online.
Thank you. All right, let's go. I'm gonna get rolling here and make my way towards. Oh, look at that.
Uber ride for approval.
Oh, that's kind of. You know what? I'm gonna do that.
Offer expired.
I'm gonna take that ride only because it's going my way, and that works for me. And it's a little short on the dollar per mile. I know it's gonna be a little bit under. Maybe I get a tip out of that, but also. It pays me to go downtown, and that's the most important thing. So let's go get Jaswina and get her going over to Elkhorn Boulevard. I think she's going to the Amazon location, it looks like, and get started with her. So I got a mile to go pick her up, but I'm going to waste 7 minutes of my life here at this red light. So while we wait for the red light, let's talk about number 5. Number 5, don't listen to the haters. There are a lot of people on YouTube that just hate on Uber and Lyft, and even the food delivery, right? DoorDash, all that stuff. They just hate on it. They're still doing it, I believe, but it's just all negativity. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't listen to them. And I'll tell you why. You can make money at this, but you have to do it your way and not Uber or Lyft's way. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's up to you to take the rides that make you money, not the rides that make Uber and Lyft money only. So it's really important for you, in my opinion, to not listen to the haters. I watch their videos. I see what they're doing. I, dip in and out of them. The Ride Professor and all those guys that are out there they just bag on Uber and Lyft. That's all they do. They're bagging on Uber and Lyft constantly. The fact of the matter is, Uber and Lyft are not the same companies that they were 5-6 years ago. They are very different. They are profit-driven corporations. They are there to make a profit, and they're going to do everything they can to make a profit. That doesn't mean that you can't make a profit too. I do, and I do it my way, and that's the most important thing to remember. So number 5, don't listen to the haters. Do it. Just be positive about this. be selective, and do this rideshare delivery thing your way, not their way. All right, that's number 5. I'll be back in a little bit. We're going to go through number 4 through 1, and we'll get done this over the night, but that's number 5. All right, I'll be back. All right, 2 rides in, and let's talk about number 4. Read the audience. Learn the room. I think it's really important to remember you're not here to entertain your passengers. I think the best thing you can do is be respectful when they get in, be respectful when they leave. And if they want to engage in a conversation, let them initiate the conversation. 9 out of 10 times, passengers get in, they're in their own little world, they're doing their own thing. They have their mind is full of whatever's going on in their life right at that moment. And they just want to be there. You don't need to entertain them. I think if you just let them dictate where the ride goes as far as conversation and everything else, you will get more tips from passengers doing that than trying to entertain them. I think they just appreciate that, and I find that it works out best just to let them dictate whether they want to talk or not. I get a lot of questions about the car because I drive a Tesla, and people have a lot of questions about it and they're curious about it, and I let them ask those questions. When they're done, I don't continue
Uber ride
on.
for approval.
I just let it go, and it works out really well for me to do that. And I think that that's something to keep in mind, that go navigate, fucker, that you don't need to entertain them. The other thing I would say also very important is keep a clean car. I clean my car every week. It gets go to the car wash, it gets vacuumed out, it gets cleaned every week. If people do shitty stuff like leave shit, or they've got oily ass cheek part, marks on the back seat, I will clean it while I'm out. I will clean it up because I want my car to be clean, and people appreciate it. I get a ton of compliments from people saying, wow, what a clean car. This is so nice. I don't have clutter in the back seat. I don't have clutter in the back of the car. There is nothing in the car. It is totally clean, and people appreciate that. It smells good. Stay clean. You, the individual, the car, and read the audience. I think that you will get more tips by doing that than anything else. People appreciate it. That's number 4. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. Alrighty, while we wait for a ride here, let's talk about number 3 on the list of top 5 things I think you need to do to be successful at this. Number 3, figure out your costs to drive. Everything that you do driving, there is a cost associated with everything that you do. Everything. And you need to figure out what those costs are. I keep track of my mileage. I keep track of all of my expenses. If I'm buying food, I'm buying drinks, if I'm doing anything for the car, everything, any kind of expense, everything is tracked and kept, and then that goes into my cost to drive. And every month, I have an idea of what my fixed costs are, because you know what your insurance are and you know all that stuff. So you have all that. So it makes it easy.
Accepting Uber ride.
Are you gonna accept it? Oh yeah, you did. Nice. Figure out those costs, because that's the most important thing for you to do, is establish what it is for your cost to drive, because that's the basis of what number 2 is all about. And once you figure that out and you know that, you have to keep track of it, because that's what's going to determine whether or not you're profitable or not. Because you can do rides that are paying $40 an hour, but what is the cost to do that ride? Because if it's costing you more to do the ride than what you're earning, then that's a losing proposition, right? And that's what you want to try to avoid. So number 3, know your cost to drive. All right, let's go get Maria here and continue on with our night. All right, quick update. Every now and then, freaking Uber sneaks one past me and gets me in an area where I don't want to be. And that's where I am right now. I am over here in borderline Antelope Citrus Heights off of Elkhorn Boulevard. Elkhorn Boulevard's a very long road, and it goes out by the airport. And so when I saw this come up, and it said Elkhorn Boulevard, I'm thinking airport. I'm not thinking over here. And this is a dead zone over here. Not at all where I want to be. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to drive back into town. I'm going to freaking deadhead it for 9.5 miles to go do a quick charge. Decide I got enough juice to finish out the night. And then, just irks me. Because when these rides, sometimes when rides come in, when you're in a ride, Mystro won't pick it up as, it misses it sometimes. And I should have looked at it closer, but I didn't. I was in the middle of dropping off someone, and this ride came in, and I hit it, and just because I saw Elkhorn Boulevard, and I thought, oh, that's over by the airport, that's going to be fine. But, no, it didn't work out that way. So, anyway, right now, I'm going to go do a charge, and then get back at it. The game should be getting out. Actually, the game's probably out right now, and I'm missing the game action, post-game ride action right now, which even irks me even more, because this took me way out of my zone. But anyway, that's the way it goes. I mean, it's a decent ride. Don't get me wrong. I like the dollar per mile and everything else was fine, just not where I want to be. So let me get on the freeway here, and then I'll turn this off, and then I'll be back here in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about the top 2 things that you need to do to be successful at this. All right, I'll be back in a second. All right, number 2. Remember, number 3 is cost. Number 2 is what you're going to do when you figure out your costs, and that is develop a driver strategy. Develop a strategy that's going to help you make money. That is the most important thing. Figure out that strategy. Let's see here. Oops, lost my screen. Your cost is your foundation for your driver strategy. That is what is your absolute bare minimum, right? Because that's your break even. What I do is once I figure out my cost, my minimum is my cost plus 20%. So I'm making 20% minimum on the rides that I want to take. That's just my minimum. Ideally what I want is like a 90 to 100% profit number on every ride. That's my goal. Somewhere in between, I'm always going to be happy because I know I'm making money, and I know I'm making a profit on every one of those rides, and that's the most important thing. So once you have your cost, you're going to develop a driver strategy, and the key is to stick with that. I mean, just as tonight as an example, obviously I'm way outside my driver strategy when I took the ride out to Elkhorn Boulevard. That is a ride that I should not do. Number one, way outside the zone where I want to be, and now I have to deadhead back in, which is dead miles. That's costing me money to make those dead miles, right? To drive back where I want to be. And that's where a driver strategy comes into play. You minimize the number of non-productive miles by sticking with the driver strategy. Which means you're selective, right? You're picking and choosing the rides that you want to do, not what Uber wants you to do, or Lyft. And you have to select the ones that fit your driver strategy. All right. We're going to talk more about that, and I'll probably go in a little bit deep on a separate video just about driver strategy. I've done it one before, but it's been a while, and we'll kind of look at numbers and things like that, and just talk a little bit more in depth about that. So with that, let me finish up charging here. I'm going to just probably be here for another, 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to get back at it and trying to finish up the night. It's been kind of slow. quite honestly. And like I said, I think I'm going to miss the post-game rush, which pisses me off, but it's the way it goes. Actually, let's take a look and see what's going on. You can see where I am. Oh, it's a little lit up. Not bad. That last ride that I said it took me out of my zone. I'll show you on the map here, but yeah, just I was way up here, and I'll put an arrow where I was. Just not at all where I want to be, and you can see how dead it is out here. It's bad. Dead, dead, dead. Bedroom community, no rides. That's not where people. That's where people want to go to sleep. They don't want to go out and move around. So yeah, that's why I try to avoid that area. All right, let me finish up charging here, and I'll be back at it. And then in the end of the night wrap, we'll talk about number 1. All right, I'll be back. All righty, that's a wrap on a Wednesday night. Let's see here. Let's go take a look at numbers first. 25, 5 trips. That's not $5 a trip. I mean, it's all right. Let's take a look at Uber. That's better than a $10 average. I like that. So what's that? 156 on the night. Kind of better than I expected, especially considering that I missed the post-game rush. So not bad. Not bad at all. All right, really to the topic at hand, and that is the number 1 thing I think you need to do to be successful in this game is learn your market. You got to really learn your market. You got to figure out, every market has places where there's high concentrations of bars and restaurants. Maybe there's a concert venue. Here in Sacramento, we have the Golden One Center. There's concerts, NBA games, all kinds of stuff happens down in that area. Plus, other areas have clubs where there's other concerts, smaller venues, lots of restaurants, clusters of bars. All those places are the places that I go and position myself to make sure I'm around them for rides. Early in the evening, people are going to those places. Obviously, later in the evening, they're leaving them and going back home. Learn those patterns. Learn how people are moving around. There's places, clusters of bars within Sacramento where people move from one area to the other area to go to different bars. Be around those areas. That's why I focus so much on the grid, is because there's a high concentration of people. There's a ton of bars, there's a ton of restaurants, and there's venues where people are going to shows and concerts and theater and stuff like that. Every market has something in those lines, and you need to figure those places out, and that's where you need to focus. And the most important thing is staying away from the nature hikes. Like tonight, I got caught on a nature hike, and this is where I want to be, and where I ended up was way out here. Where is it? Right here. I'll put an arrow. Right here. That's way, way outside of where I want to be. Again, that was 10 miles outside of where I wanted to be. And it's really important to avoid those situations. Don't do nature hikes. The only time I do a nature hike was like you saw in the beginning of this video, where it kind of pays me to go kind of where I want to go, or it's going to pay me to go back home, right? That's when I'm willing and we'll just, I'll take that ride. Maybe it's marginally profitable. It could be a break-even ride. It could even be a loss on that ride. Obviously, the other ones balance it out. But if you're just doing those consistently, you're losing money. And that's what you got to remember. So, number 1 thing, learn your market. You got to learn it. And then everything else kind of falls into place. Once you learn the market, figure out your driver strategy. Figure out your cost, right? What was number 4? I can't even remember what number 4 was. Hold on. Read your audience. That's going to help you get tips. And tips are key. Tips balance stuff out. They help balance out bad rides. And again, last, don't listen to the haters. You can make money at this. it's a game. You just have to play your game. Don't play Uber's game. Play your game, and you'll make money. Well, that's gonna do it. Some of these topics I'm going to take a deeper dive and kind of do other videos that kind of focus in a little bit more, especially like the market one, and I think the cost and driver strategy will definitely have their own videos with a little bit deeper dive. So look for those here in the near future. And in the meantime, please throw a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you have questions, if you agree or disagree, or you think there's, maybe throw me, if you're a driver, throw me your top 5 things that you think you need to do to be successful. I'm curious to hear some feedback from you on that, other drivers. We can work together to make everyone successful, and I think that's really important. I got nothing to hide. I'm not afraid of competition, and I don't think anyone else should be either. So we can all help each other out. All right, that's going to do it for me for tonight. I will be back at it tomorrow night. I don't believe there's a game tomorrow night, so we'll just see how that plays out. Friday Eve before a 3-day weekend, I'm hoping there's going to be some activity. So we'll see. All right, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.